Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to share a tip with you guys today that I'm hoping will help you and me when it comes to looming. One thing I noticed in the recent unboxing I did of a particular set of looms is that there was no starting point. And by that I mean there was no peg that stuck out on the side. There was nothing to really let you know when you were back to the beginning, so you knew when you completed a row. And it was these looms. These are from Knitting Board. This is a baby hat loom. It's more of a small gauge loom, and it doesn't have any, as you can tell, nothing around it that lets you know when you hit back to your starting point. So if Knitting Board is watching this, it'd be great if you kind of modify that. So I realized I need to figure out a way to kind of modify it for me, and I was talking to my cousin Terry from Generically Yours that we just did a wreath video with, and she came up with this idea. We kind of worked it out together, and I'm hoping it will work. That will kind of help us have a gauge of where our starting is. This may work well, this may not work well. We won't know unless we try, so I'm going to show you what I'm doing on them. I hope that you'll kind of let me know what you think. I'll definitely update if this tip works down the road, like if it actually lasts long term or how it works. It's really the tip I'm going to show you does kind of depend on probably how much you use the loom. It's going to be part of it, but I do think it will help us in terms of knowing where the start peg is. So let me show you that tip, and I would love for your thoughts down below. And if you haven't already, if you're watching and you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of future videos. And give this video a thumbs up if you love getting little tips like this that may work for you. Maybe it won't, maybe it will. We never know unless we try. So again, let me show you the tip. Okay, so as you notice on the looms I just reviewed from Knitting Board, there was no set start point you could really define it. So here's a tip I'm going to try that my cousin and I were kind of talking about. Is I took my looming pick, the one I normally use, and I kind of gently scratched at a spot. Like I picked this to be a start, and I kind of went down from it, and I'm just kind of, see if I can get it. I'm just kind of digging slightly into it. Now you could use tape here if you wanted. You could do a marker if you wanted, but we decided if I dig a little bit there, and then I'm going to take a little bit of white paint because it's the opposite color that is. So I'm going to take a little bit of white paint, very little bit on my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of paint in that groove a little bit. That's going to be my starting point. So I'm going to use an opposite color. So if I do this to the other ones, and I'm just going to let this dry. It's usually pretty quick drying. And then what I'm going to do once this dries is I'm going to put some Mod Podge over it, because it's a water-based sealer, glue, and finisher. So this should help seal this paint in more, and hopefully it will last a while. Now if this doesn't work, I can always redo a little paint, but like I said, I just picked a peg and kind of grooved it a little bit, made my mark, so that way that can dry, and then I'm going to put some Mod Podge over it, and then we'll kind of see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead on the darker color looms and do the same thing. I might even be able to put white on this one, but I think I'm going to do a darker color for this, and obviously for the one that's white. But that's what I'm going to try out. I'm going to put a little bit of a scratch in it, a little bit of white paint, let that dry, and throw some Mod Podge over it so it kind of seals it in, and see if that kind of helps me, at least visually. When I'm going around, I'll know when I hit this that I'm back to the start, because that's the hardest thing. If looms don't have a way for you to know, it's very hard to keep track of rows or keep track of what row you're on. If you have to stop, you may not know which row you're on. So pick a peg on a loom that you have that maybe doesn't define the beginning, and just put a little scratch, maybe a little bit of paint, and then go ahead and seal it and see if that works. It may rub off over time. Obviously, if you're looming a lot, you're eventually going to probably rub some off. That's where I'm hoping the Mod Podge will kind of help seal it for a little longer. It might take longer to wear off because it's being sealed in by this. So that's the tip I have for you guys for any looms that don't have a starting point, is kind of try to put a little groove in them if you got a little pick or a knife. Nothing major, or even if you don't want to put the groove in there, just do a dab of white paint or opposite color. Like again, I'm not going to use white paint on this one. I'm not going to use it on the white one that came in the set. I'm going to pick a color that stands out and do the same thing, a little bit of a line, and then Mod Podge it, and see if that helps for letting us know when to start. So this was just a quick reminder. I'm using a paper towel to put the Mod Podge on. Just do kind of you might have to do some more than one coat. I just put a coat on it. It's a little shiny in that spot. I'm going to let it dry and probably put another coat over top of it. But Mod Podge, in case you've never used it, comes out white and then it dries clear. So I want that to be important to let you guys know that when you do it, it's going to come out looking like glue, basically white glue, and you're going to seal it on there. So all I did was I put a little bit on my paper towel, Oops, that was more than a little. And then I just kind of gently put it on the spot that I want to kind of do it. And I'm going to wrap this around so I don't get it all over. And then I'm just going to, you could use a paintbrush, you could use something else. I'm just wiping the clear coat over top of it, and I'm going to let it dry and see if this kind of seals it in better. But I just wanted to quickly show you the Mod Podge that it does come out white, so don't get scared and just either use a paper towel or use a brush if you want, and then just kind of put a layer of that on, wait for it to dry, maybe do another couple layers, and then it should work. But again, have a great day.